boop, 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 boop. Throw the football. Throw it down the field. Throw it down. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's throw it down the field. Let's win this game. I love football. So let's talk about you good?
Okay,
let's talk about football. Hello Twitch. Hello YouTube. We're talking about some football. If you're watching us on YouTube, go check out my Twitch. And if you're watching us on Twitch, go check out my YouTube. This was originally live streamed on Twitch. The chat is not being read, so it's just going to be Bob and I. Thanks for joining me, Bob. Talk about the NFL 2018 wild card games.
Woo.
I did some predictions for the first 5 or 6 weeks of the NFL season, and I was just like, this is too much. Too many games.
That's a lot of games.
I don't really care anymore. 256 games. I'm good. And I just kind of got bored of it, but I said, you know what, we got it. I said, I'll come back with the playoffs,
yeah.
prediction. So we're going to be doing this every week. Sometime Tuesday, Wednesday, we don't really know. Whenever we can, I suppose. And predict most likely Wednesday, but maybe on Tuesday afternoon. We'll figure it out. It will happen, and it will happen at a time before the games. And so today we're talking about the wild card predictions. Some pretty crazy scenarios for this to happen. The winner out game for the Colts and the Titans. The Steelers, who could have possibly snuck in. The Chargers and Chiefs for the number 1 seed. The Eagles snuck in with the Vikings losing. A lot of stuff happened here that was these games could have been different. So that's the best part for me with the playoffs, when my team's not on the line, is to enjoy who's gonna make it, because all these games we could have been talking about Titans and Texans, or Vikings and Bears, or Chiefs and Steelers, or Chiefs and we could have been talking about Chiefs and Steelers. We could have been talking about a lot of different things, but here we are. Here we are. It really could have been so much. I mean, so much could have happened, but I think everything went as predicted, except for the Eagles sneaking in, and then maybe the Titans and Colts. Everyone was kind of torn on. But we're going to be talking about the 4 games today. So are we good to hop right in to game number 1? Saturday. This Saturday we have the Indianapolis Colts going against their divisional rival, the Houston Texans. The Texans are at home. And the Colts just came off that win with the Titans. It was pretty convincing, despite some mistakes that the Colts made, like an interception, some fumbles, and just some other questionable mistakes. Tomfoolery. They came victorious against the Titans. And now the Texans are like, hey, come in the Wild Building and fight us. And this is actually a rematch. And actually, we'll be talking about that because some of these games are rematches of games that happened a few weeks ago and earlier in the season. This game happened a couple of weeks ago.
This game happened twice.
Yeah, but this matchup happened a couple of weeks ago, three or so weeks ago. And the Colts won very convincingly against the Texans. And even before, when the Colts weren't very good, they lost in overtime because they went for it on 4th down instead of punting.
Wow. And
they would have tied if they punted it, but they went for it, didn't get it, and Texans got the field goal, and they won the game. So they basically coughed up the game. So keep that in mind. I think also the other thing to keep in mind is the Texans have a lot of injured players. They're not completely decimated.
That seems to be a theme with the Texans.
That does. And the Redskins.
Yeah,
they always get hurt.
I mean, every team has a lot of people that get hurt. Yeah, but the Texans especially.
Yes, the Texans last year especially, but this year they have definitely more healthy than they were last year, and they're not completely torn apart.
Right.
But they do have some people out. Their offensive line is not good. That's definitely their weakest part, is their offensive line. But Deshaun Watson has been playing incredible.
Yes.
He is the real deal. He proved the first couple of games last year. Everyone was like, oh my god, he was almost not to say he was that high of a level, but he's almost like the Patrick Mahomes of the season. Right. He was playing that well, and then he got hurt. And then this year he kind of had a slow start, and everyone's like, maybe he's not so good, but he just has been proving himself. He's the real deal. He's really, really good. And so is the other quarterback on the side of the football, Andrew Luck, who's been playing very, very well. Yeah. And the Colts defense has been surprisingly good. They're very good at stopping the run. They obviously shut down Dallas a few weeks ago.
Yep.
They're very good at they have Eric Ebron, who's one of their better players on offense. T.Y. Hilton, who's still playing well.
Yep.
So you have all these players Do you think? What are you looking for? Are you looking for anything specifically in this game? Are you to see who would win? Like, do you think there's certain conditions?
I think this is definitely just going to come down. It's mostly going to come down to the quarterback play. Is which quarterback has a better day, and both of them, Andrew Luck and Deshaun Watson, can have really, really great days in the field.
I think it comes down to turnovers.
Okay,
100%. I think the defense for they both have pretty decent defenses. The Texans have been always really known for their defense, and this year. No exception. They have a pretty solid defense. But something I've noticed that all of the you can look at it, but I've noticed that I think all of the Texans games have been decided by like 7 points or less. Maybe some of them haven't, but like you can look like 2 points, 3 points, 1 point, 3 point, like very close games. And I think that is because of their last second defense. And just holding on. But I don't know if they can do that against the Colts. And, I mean, if it comes to turning the ball over, I can see the Texans doing it more than the Colts can. But, I mean, fumbles, that's always unpredictable. You never know fumbling unless you have a fumbling quarterback. But none of these are really known for that. Like, they're not Jameis Winston. But they sometimes, I don't know, that's hard to predict. So I think whoever, and that's such an easy thing to say, and like the Doy... SDS Mandoy.
Don't like the ball.
Whoever turns the ball over more is going to lose. Yeah. That's my prediction. Okay. Which is hard to predict, but I see that going to the Texans more.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we make our picks? Any other things you want to look for in this game?
No, I think we can.
You think we can just go right to it?
Yeah.
So who are you picking in this game?
I'm picking the Colts.
You're picking the Colts.
I believe they're going to ride the momentum that they have from winning the game to get into the playoffs.
Yep.
And Andrew Luck's just been playing fantastic this season, and their defense is overachieved, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I think they're just going to keep riding that. Maybe get through the Texans. And,
they would go right to the Chiefs.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree with you on this one. I'm also going to go with the Colts. But I want to say I don't think this game is going to be as decisive as the Titans game.
Right.
I think the Texans, even if they're behind like the Titans were, because the Titans were behind and they could have made it close, but they didn't. I think even if the Texans are behind like a couple of scores, like maybe 2 scores, they will come back and make it a close game and will make it a game to fight for. And I think the Texans being at home doesn't provide that much of a home field advantage, but I think will provide just enough to make it a closer game than that at Tennessee. So I think this is a game to look out for.
Yes.
And it's a good way to start the playoffs. We'll have to see where this ends off. Very interesting. Implications here. So the next game we have is actually another rematch. Just happened earlier in the season, way earlier in the season, between the Seattle Seahawks, the number 5 seed, and the Dallas Cowboys, the number 4 seed. Yep. So there's a lot here. I feel like this and the next game are the 2 hardest games to predict. For me personally, because number 1, Dallas is at home, and if you look at their record at home, they're really, really good.
Right.
And if you look at their record away, they're not really, really good. So the fact that they're at home is a huge advantage. I think if this game was in Seattle, it would be much different than it will be in Dallas. However, we are in Dallas, and there's a few things that concern me with the Cowboys. Their defense is good.
Right.
Their defense is really good. Shockingly, maybe one of the best defenses in the league. Maybe there's a few more. Maybe 2 or 3 defenses I can think better, and 2 of which we'll probably be talking about today. Their defense is really, really good. Sometimes they give up big plays, but typically, for the most part, their defense is solid.
Right.
Their offense is where I get concerned. I mean, their running game, with no doubt, is incredible. Like, you can't deny that. They have probably the best running back in the league as of right now. So there's no even real debate there. But the quarterback play is when I get a little bit like, get a little bit nervous. Amari Cooper hasn't been doing too much these past couple weeks. And Dak Prescott, I just cannot trust him. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. I really don't. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's terrible.
Right.
He's definitely consistent enough to make games close. But I think if there's a big moment, like if it's like, this is the moment, Dak Prescott has to throw this ball, I don't think he can do it. Russell Wilson, on the other hand, I think can do it. Because I think Russell Wilson is the most underrated quarterback in the entire league. I think he is the entire reason this team is here.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
This team, he has carried this team on his back.
Yes.
Without a doubt. And I just cannot. He's so solid. Their running game has come alive, and their offense has come alive. I think Seattle has a better offense than they do Dallas. However, which is weird to say now, looking back a couple of years back. I think Dallas has a better defense than Seattle does.
Yes.
So that kind of raises a few questions on what will happen. What are you looking out for here? What matchups or what sort of like part of the game would you focus on?
Well, I don't know. This is tough because they've both been doing really great things recently. They both had
Seattle's hot.
Right. They both had rough starts, but they both came into form later in the season. So it's hard to pick based on momentum because they're both coming in pretty hot.
Yes.
So I think it's definitely going to be huge what the defenses do.
Yes.
Because if Seattle's defense plays well, I think Russell Wilson can get them enough points to hold on.
Hold on. I would agree. And I don't think that the defense for Seattle has to play incredible.
Right.
They have to play incredible against the run game.
Yes.
Which is going to be scary.
Yes, they have to stop Ezekiel.
They have to.
It's not going to go well.
But I think if they can shut him down, I think if I was Seattle, right, and I was going into this game and I had a game plan, I would say, listen, guys, okay, we need to shut down the run at all costs and let Dak throw the ball. That's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, if they can get Dak to just throw the ball around all game, they will handily win this game.
I think they will also handily win this game. But the question is, will they?
Right.
That's the question. Bob, who are you going with?
I'm going to go with the Seahawks
a
very slight win. Maybe
very slim win.
2 or 3 points.
2 or 3 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what, Bob? I have to agree with you. I actually was thinking originally of picking Dallas here, primarily because they're at home. Mm-hmm. They're hot. They've been doing a lot of really good things. They have rested players.
Yes.
They have a few. Their offensive line is solid. The defensive line is solid. They generally have a good team.
Right.
However, the playoffs for me, like you said, defense is important in playoffs. But you know what else is important in playoffs? Like really important in playoffs? Coaching. And if I had to pick a coach, as much as I think Pete Carroll he has been good this year. He has been a really good coach this year. And as much as Pete Carroll is typically sometimes laughable at what he does, he's not even close to being as laughable as Jason Garrett is.
Yeah.
So I think the coaching narrowly gives it to the Seattle, just narrowly.
Yes.
Just narrowly. I can't see, but I can see Dallas winning this one. I just. With the coaching,
you gotta give the edge quarterback, and gotta give the edge
to the coach.
Yeah,
and experience too. I mean, the Dallas has played a playoff game once a few years ago, but Seattle was in it for a couple of years every year. They missed last year, but besides that, they've been in it almost every year. So, I think experience wins them this game.
Yeah.
Barely though,
and
I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means.
No, not at all.
So I think this is the best game, personally, because we have another rematch of a game that happened 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
just a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was 3 at this point. And I think this is the most interesting matchup because this game is the hardest for me to pick. Mm-hmm. There is so many variables in this game. There are so many factors to look at. Yep. There is so much to think about. So let's try to do that in a short amount of time if we can. So I guess we'll start off. What team do you want to start off with?
We start off with the Chargers.
We want to start off with the Chargers. Yeah. So the Chargers are an interesting team.
Yes.
They're probably the best team in the AFC right now based on the last half of the season.
Right.
They have played incredible. They've beaten the Chiefs. They did lose to the Ravens a couple weeks ago, but a very close game there.
Yes.
They have really almost just proved themselves that, hey, Phillip Rivers, he's pretty good. Hey, all these wide receivers and running backs, they're pretty good. Mm-hmm. Hey, defense, that's not nothing to laugh at. So I think the Chargers have definitely proved themselves. I still think they're an underdog team, even though people are kind of recognizing them.
Right.
They're not really well known in the, I guess you could say the football normies.
Yeah, they haven't been playoff relevant in years.
No, I don't think they made the playoffs, and I couldn't even tell you. Probably 5 years.
Since they had LaDainian Tomlinson, it's been kind of not. It's been kind of stagnant at that 8-8 range.
Right, and they have some players coming back from injury. The Chargers are solid. Yes. There's no denying that. The Chargers are I think between these two teams, the Chargers are the more consistent team, and they're one of the most consistent teams in the NFL. Yeah. Every game is a game. Never is there a moment where I'm like, oh, here come the Chargers blowing it up again, or here come the Chargers going to blow it. They always do what they need to do, and they come back. They were down to the Steelers by a lot, and they came back. They just know how to come back. They were down by the Chiefs. Yep. They were down a lot of points for the Chiefs, and they came back in both of those games. Mm-hmm. Granted, both of those teams had pretty bad defenses.
Right.
Still, though, they came back. And if any team can do that, that's impressive.
Yeah.
The Ravens are a whole different can of worms.
Yes.
And they're also sort of a can of worms that, you open it, and it's are these worms? What huh? They just confuse me.
Yes.
The Ravens confuse me. a lot. So I have a few things about the Ravens. Number one is obviously we got to talk about the quarterback situation. So Joe Flacco's not playing ever since he has been playing, and Lamar Jackson has been playing quarterback. They have been red hot. They have done so much to win games, and I think their formula for winning games are very simple. They keep the ball away from the other team.
Yes.
How they do that is Lamar Jackson isn't an amazing thrower, but how he runs the ball is incredible. And I think what they've been doing is how they've been playing. The defensive coordinators and defenses play against them, and they're like, "How do we do this?
Right.
How do we play against this? He's running here. How do we stop this?" And they don't know what to do. Now it will be a test to see, since the Chargers kind of fell for that last time they played.
Yeah.
It would be a test to see if the Chargers learned, now that they're in playoffs, learned to adapt and see if they can finally figure out, like no team has before, how to stop this.
Correct.
And what this creates is because the Baltimore defense is so good.
Right.
So what happens is, because the defense is so good, they play defense, right? And then they get like all this time to rest because the Ravens hold on the ball from running and stuff like that. The time winds down.
Yep.
And what happens is, by the time the defense comes on, they possess the ball for like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
The defense has got rested, and then the defense goes off.
Fresh again, yeah.
Fumble recoveries, interceptions, and that's how they play the game.
Yes.
It's a very interesting way of playing the game. They don't just come at you with the offense. They come at you with taking time off the clock, keeping the ball away from you, and then having the defense do the rest. It's a very interesting way of approaching it, and I think that's what made them a successful team.
Yes.
The second half of the season. So this is a very interesting matchup, despite having it before. It is interesting. It is in Baltimore.
Yes.
But my question to you, I would ask you, what are you looking for? But I want to pinpoint something.
Okay.
Do you think that Lamar Jackson is going to have to throw the ball to win this game? Effectively, rather.
He's going to have to at least throw for 50%, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, he can't do everything with his legs.
No.
Obviously,
yeah,
you're going to try to do that sometimes, but you
Yeah.
can't, because after the first few times, people are going to be like, oh, they're just going to fucking run the ball. Just put a spy on him every single
Yeah.
play. He's probably going to have a spy on him every play anyway.
Yeah, but then yeah.
But once they start figuring out the tendencies of what checkdowns he does, and then after checkdowns, how quickly does he start running?
Yeah.
If you keep doing that in the same game, it's not going to keep working for you. So
Yeah.
he has to throw the ball.
Is this matchup as hard for you to predict as it is for me? Because
Yes.
Because both of these teams...
During this conversation, I've gone back and forth between the Ravens and the Chargers a couple of times.
Because I think both... It's almost a shame both these teams are facing off, because I think both of these teams... This could be like the championship, I could see, because both these teams play so wildly different. I think the Chargers are very consistent. They're a little more conservative, but they have big they do risky and big plays all the time. They just go heave it down the field, and then some dude's just like, I'll take that. And they can run the ball effectively. They have a really good defense, but Baltimore just plays. They have one way of playing,
Yes,
and that's run it with running backs, throw little dink and dunk passes, and run with Lamar Jackson. Run the time off, keep him off the field. Defense all rested, do your thing. Back on the field, keep him off the field. Defense, do your thing. And then it keeps the games always close and keeps the games competitive. But I think if you shut down that thing, like, oh, you can't run the ball anymore, and you can't just keep us off the field, then that's where I think things will get a little bit interesting for the Ravens. And I'm interested to see, can they play a different style than that? And it has worked for them, because no one saw it coming and no one could prepare for it,
right?
Because it's such a unique style of playing. But will that work in the playoffs against the Chargers? How long can that take them? How long until? Because I think once teams figure out how to stop that, I think the Ravens it's concerning for the Ravens, and whether that happens next season or whether that happens during this playoff game or the next playoff game or this playoffs and the Super Bowl, we don't know.
Right.
How far can that take them? That's really the big question here.
Yes.
So I guess now, anything you want to say about the Chargers? Because we talked more about the Ravens. Anything you want to see from the Chargers?
Well, if Phillip Rivers keeps playing like Phillip Rivers, I think
they're good.
It's going to help them a lot.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about the Chargers. They keep coming back.
Right.
So, and the last time they played each other, they lost because of a fumble recovery. Really, was the number one reason the Chargers lost. So, if it comes down to that, it's hard for me to pick. But I guess we do got to pick. I'm gonna make you pick first because I don't want to pick.
I am very narrowly gonna pick the Chargers.
Okay.
I was originally gonna give it to the Ravens because of home field advantage.
Yeah.
But thinking about the different experience levels of the quarterbacks, and I don't really trust Harbaugh that well.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah.
So I think The Chargers are going to edge it out based on the experience.
We just keep picking the same teams because I'm actually also going to pick the Chargers. And I have a few reasons for it. Number one, these two teams have played before.
Yes.
And I think if one of the teams can learn from their mistakes and learn how to play better, I think it's the Chargers.
Right.
I think they can analyze what they did wrong against the Ravens, analyze how they can beat them. I think they're a smart football team. I think they could figure out exactly how to take them down. I think it's exactly what they're going to do. I think the Ravens are going to narrowly lose it.
Mm-hmm. I think Lamar Jackson's going to crack under the pressure of the game.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair because not only is he young, but he hasn't even really played. He's only played 5 or 6 games.
Right.
So it's like very. I mean, they did put him in as wide receiver and running back before, which sometimes worked.
Yeah,
it's weird. But it is undeniable that if Joe Flacco was playing, this would be a whole different game.
Oh, yes.
So, like, I'm not, diss against Lamar. We're not being like, oh, he sucks. But, no, like, he's really, he's adopted a unique way to play a quarterback.
Right.
It's just, how long can that last? And maybe it could last a very long time. Maybe that will just be their style for years and it will work. But we don't know that. It's a lot of variables going in. And this game, we'll learn a lot from this game either way. This is the game of the week that we'll learn a lot.
Right.
And this game could change football forever. I'm saying it. And I think both of these teams, whoever wins, whoever has to face this team, one of these teams next week, they are going to have to be like, we need to be careful how we do this, boys, because it's going to be a little dangerous. So I think the winner of this, I don't know, I could go either way, actually. But that's besides the point. We won't talk about the whole playoff picture. But we're both, again, picking the same teams. So interesting there. The last matchup we have are the Eagles and the Bears.
Yep.
So right off the bat, with the Eagles, we got a lot of questions. Big Dick Nick has been, which is Nick Foles, of course,
yes,
has taken over for Carson Wentz.
Yes.
But he also got hurt.
Right.
He has a chest injury. And do you remember the other quarterback's name? Oh, fuck. What is his name? Look it up for me if you can. So there are a few. He's not good. That's what matters. So there's a few questions here. Who is the number one question for the Eagles is who's playing quarterback, right? Do you have Big Dick Nick playing? Do you have is Carson Wentz going to mysteriously be like, I'm back, guys, Garsh? Or is it going to be the name of the quarterback that we're about to figure out?
Nate Sudfeld.
Yeah, that's it. Nate Sudfeld. Is it going to be him? So, all right. Let's just talk about 3 different scenarios here. Mm-hmm. All right. I think if Carson Wentz mysteriously comes back, which we don't know yet. This is why this game's a little hard to predict because we really don't know who's starting at quarterback. I think if Carson Wentz comes back, this game will be interesting. I don't think they want to do that playing the Bears of all the fucking teams because they want to keep Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz likely not available.
Likely not available. But even if they do make him available, I don't think they're going to anyway because if he plays against the Bears, it takes a few hits to knock him out for a season next year because the Bears, they're dangerous, especially on defense, which we'll get to in a second. If you have Big Dick Nick playing, which we believe is probably where they're going to go, I think that they could make this a close game. I always have had confidence in Nick Foles. I think he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. I still can't believe he's a backup. I think he should have a starting job somewhere. Right. He has broken records for Philadelphia, more so than any other quarterback. He is a really, really, really good quarterback, Super Bowl MVP. Big Dick Nick is someone to look out for. I really believe that. He can change the game. And we could debate all day who's better, Carson Wentz or Nick Foles, and I think everyone's going to say Carson Wentz, and I really can't argue against that too much, but Nick Foles, at the very least, has seemed to inspire this team more and bring it back to life.
Right.
And that's something he also did last year in the perfect time, the playoffs. So he has playoff experience, obviously, and he is someone to look out for. Also, the Eagles have a really good defense, especially up front. You know, they have a lot of really, really good up front guys that can just, like, pop in there. You got Long, you got Bennett. So that's a concern for Mitchell Trubisky. Is he going to be able to face that line? But obviously, it comes down. This game does come down to defenses on both sides of the ball. But the Bears' defense, undeniably, is not only hot, not only good, but they're flashy. They're showy, and they have it all. They're stars. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Picking up Khalil Mack was one of the best things they could have ever done.
Yeah, definitely. Without Khalil Mack, I don't even think they'd be here.
Right.
They have a lot of good defensive players besides him, and they've had games where he hasn't even done anything, and they've done very well. But their corners, everything, they can stop it. So this is another interesting game because I think on paper everyone's like Bears are gonna win this easy, go to sleep, time for next week. But I think that's dangerous to do because the Bears really don't. This team doesn't really have that much playoff experience. The Bears, they do have both these coaches are young head coaches who are very brave and brash and go for it on 4th and 17. And they're both just like they're both unique teams and they have glaring weaknesses and question marks. And it's because with Mitchell Trubisky, I think he's decent. I think he gets a little more flack than he should. He's only his second year in the league. He gets a little more flack than he should. I don't think he's incredible. I don't think he's terrible. I think he can hold his own when he needs to.
Right.
And their running game has been questionable at times, but their receivers and tight ends are really good.
Yes.
Their defense is very, very solid, obviously. Yep. And really, for the Eagles, it's hard for me to say for them to go to Chicago for them to win. But Big Dick Nick has surprised us before.
Right.
It's just I don't know. They have some really good offensive weapons, undeniably. They have really 2 or 3 good defensive weapons. It's a very talented offensive team. They just haven't clicked this year. They narrowly squeaked into the playoffs with Big Dick Nick, and now I'm curious, is that going to work against the Bears? What are you looking at here? Because this is a very interesting matchup.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, you have the defending Super Bowl champions coming back, trying to get there again. And you have basically the new up and comers who nobody at the beginning of the year even thought would be close to winning the NFC North.
Yeah.
So this is a really interesting matchup. I think that the Bears defense is going to be if they can be full Bears defense and hold Philadelphia down to the low scores, they're going to do very well.
Yeah.
But if the defense has an off day, I don't know how Mitchell Trubisky is going to perform in the playoffs.
Right.
Because younger quarterbacks don't have the best track record in the playoffs.
That's true. So you're not wrong.
It's tough.
It is tough. But I don't think I have more faith in the Bears defense than I do the Eagles offense. Right. The Bears defense has been so incredible this year. And I know I like Nick Foles. I really do. I think he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. I like him. I like to see him play. But I don't know if this team, which is very talented, can do what they've been doing against the Bears. At the same side of the coin, you're right. If you have Michael Bennett, Chris Long, all these guys rushing you, and you're Mitchell Trubisky, I can see him getting hit. I can see him. He's already gotten hurt from that. I can see him going and making a mistake, creating a turnover. I can see that happening and putting the Eagles right back in this game. Yeah. I think if any of these two teams are turnover heavy, I think they're both actually turnover heavy, but for different reasons. Yeah. I think the Bears will be turnover heavy because they'll be afraid of the rush in the front seven, and they might just make a few fumbles and throws that they shouldn't have made, and that will do it. The Eagles, I think, won't do it from mistakes, but because of how good the Bears defense is.
Yeah.
So this is a hard game. I think all of these games are really close, but and I think the last game was the closest, but this one is maybe it might be a close second. I don't know. All these games are really close, and this one no exception. Yes. But do you have anyone that you're leaning towards?
I am leaning toward the Bears, mostly because they're at home, and home helps the defense a lot.
Yes.
And their defense. Yeah. Well, it doesn't need much help. I think that'll keep it rocking. And hold down Nick Foles.
Hold down Nick Foles. I have to, again, agree with you. We all picked the exact same. This is not intentional. We did not know what we're picking until today. I have to agree with you on the Bears. I think that the Bears' defense is too scary. And I know people say, well, all they have is defense. And I think that mentality won't carry them to the Super Bowl.
Right.
But I think it could carry them to, at the very least, the divisional round, maybe even the championship round.
Yeah.
But I'm not counting the Eagles out. They have a chance. I think people are writing them off, and I think that actually helps them more than not. Let's go over our picks really quick. We both picked the same picks, not intentionally.
No,
we didn't know what we did not pick.
I did not form my opinions until I got here.
I am the same way, and we didn't know who each other was picking until we said it. So this is honest to God. So we actually both picked three away teams and one home team. Very interesting. We both picked the Colts, and we both picked the Seahawks to go away and beat their sort of the rematch. Another rematch, we both picked the Chargers, which goes against the game that they played a couple weeks ago. And then we both picked the Bears to win it. So we both picked Colts, Seahawks, Chargers, and Bears. A very interesting interesting development here. I did not expect us to pick the same teams. I knew I was going to pick the Colts, and I knew I was going to pick the Seahawks pretty easily. I almost went with the Cowboys, but I'm like, nah, Seahawks. But the Chargers and the Bears, those were the Chargers was definitely last minute.
Right.
The Bears I kind of had in the back of my mind as winning it, just because I think that they're the more consistent team. I think there's a lot less question marks because the Eagles I think are good, but they just started. And the Bears have been doing what they're doing all season.
Yep.
So who do you trust? Someone who's been doing it all season or a couple of weeks? But then it comes down to who you trust, veterans or newcomers. Right. A lot of interesting matchups here. So those are our 2018 wildcard predictions. We picked the same teams, which is always a little less interesting because when we pick different teams, we can be like, you're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. And argue, but no argument here because we just both agree on everything. Yeah. But join us next week for the divisional round. We will be talking about who the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Saints, and the Rams will be playing based on these games here. And then we'll move on to the championship the week after. So thanks for joining me, Bob. If you're watching us on YouTube, go to my Twitch. If you're watching on Twitch, go to my YouTube. If you're watching on neither, how are you watching this? Thank you so much for watching 2018 NFL Wild Card Predictions.
Bye-bye.
But the real winner are the Browns. They're going to come out of nowhere.
They almost had a winning season.
They almost did. But
alas,
they'll never have anything nice.